We'll find out right now, folks. Hello and welcome to a very special Tavern Chat with Rob Conley and myself, Erik Tenkar. And we are going to discuss Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, which we both caught independently. Me in New York City at an AMC theater. Rob, you were out in northwestern PA.
Yep, Erie, Pennsylvania.
So, here, folks, I'll give you a secret. It wasn't bad. I won't
Nope.
explain why, but it wasn't bad. If you're expecting something that's going to remind you of the horrible Dungeons and Dragons movies from prior, the direct to video, and then how many were there? There were two, right? I mean, it wasn't the third
There
one.
were definitely two, maybe even three.
Yeah, I know the second and was direct to video. Um, they were pretty lame. This was actually pretty good, and like I was telling Rob shortly before we went live, my least favorite character happened to be the lead character. I thought everything. I just didn't like Chris Pine, but I don't think, as Rach pointed out to me, I don't think you're meant to like Chris Pine. So I mean, maybe that's TXG. Welcome, David. Welcome. So I'm going to play some of this, one of the trailers behind us. And Robert and I may comment on it because so now you just saw that picture. That is, she's, what, one of the red mages, the big bad evil. This is all shot. It's the Forgotten Realm, folks. So in case you ever doubted, it's soundly set in the Forgotten Realms.
Oh, they did a lot of Forgotten Realms name dropping, that's for sure.
Yes. So, um,
And they did a kind of good job of it. They didn't really throw it in your face. Like they had two rich guys from Waterdeep and Baldur's Gate show up,
yes,
and they just said matter of fact. They didn't go into a big exposition, although they do have exposition in the film.
they do. So now this is.
Neverwinter.
Thank you. Um, and actually, it looks pretty. Listen, a lot of stuff is computer generated. It still looks very, very, very cool. Very, very well done. Uh, this scene actually takes place, I don't know, 15 minutes into the movie. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
yeah, this is
So,
early on. They spoilers, guys.
yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Uh,
these uh, got the IDM page so I can get the name. Egan and Hoga start out together in the movie, and they arrive. Egan's daughter, he hasn't seen her for a while. I'll let you find out in the movie why he hasn't seen her for a while.
right.
But let's just say they are not on the best of terms with the law. So they come in and they see their old teammate Forge, who's played by Hugh Grant, and
Great, great character, by the way. Great character.
oh yeah, he is swarmy with a capital S. And well, let's just say Forge wants him out of the way, and this is where he tries to get him out of the way.
Oh my God! You're all chatting away. You're all chatting like all right. I'm just putting your chats up because I'm gonna go back to the other screen where I gotta keep my eye on the trailer because the trailer is gonna give us scenes. Will there be lots of spoilers tonight, Helen? There'll be some. We will try. And by the way, TXG, thank you for joining. We will try to keep um, the spoilers to a minimum, but there's no way we're going to be able to avoid all spoilers. So back to the video. Like Rob was saying, um, now uh, they are theoretically were told that they were being taken back into custody, but that was overridden, and she. You would think that and this is what I find very interesting. Okay, Again, Chris Pine's character is a bard, and his selling point is that he is the talker. But the
Oh,
other,
he does a lot of talking.
he does a lot of talking, but she does some great talking that you're not going to hear in this part of the scene, which sets this whole thing up. And uh, she doesn't need a weapon to kick ass. Uh, Edgin, or whatever his name is, obviously has some major issues, but not the least of which is he doesn't carry a weapon.
No, he doesn't. I can't recall him fighting with a sword or anything.
No, I think twice he wields her weapon. So now in this scene, we see an assortment of characters from the party that is being formed. The party starts out with just the two, the bard and the barbarian. They go back and get one of their former members, which is a sorcerer that's in the background.
Yep.
His character is actually, I like the character. It grows. It's a lot of character growth going on there. The paladin to the right side of your screen, possibly my favorite character in this movie.
Now
Extreme,
he'll come off as lawful stupid after
but
first
he's not.
impression, but don't let that fool you. He he uh he knows what's up.
Yeah, he certainly does.
So
Uh,
right here, what this group is doing is that they hooked up with the paladin because they need a magic item for the sorcerer in the background, who is Simon,
right,
and he knows where it is, and it's in the Underdark, so they're going after it.
which is actually a very good. I don't know, act of the movie, scene for the movie. I think that was the graphics. Yes, Rob like Rings of Power. Forgive the man. All right. I can say I don't dislike it or like it. I haven't watched it, so there. How about that? Um,
I will have bad Mike. I'll have you know, I only give the Rings of Power a C.
right. So now all these clips, by the way, are all these parts of this trailer are obviously not in order. Um, this is where some of our main characters wind up getting caught and sent to prison. This scene, not a big spoiler, but it's a flashback.
Yes, it's a flashback, but it tells you what the deal with the Red Wizard of Thay, and it's quite effective.
Yeah, no, it is quite effective and sets you. They don't broadcast what's going to happen. This big the games that are going on, kind of like gladiatorial sport, and throwing things to the wolves. And everybody's promised a big surprise if they wait to the end. But this helps, in setting some of that stuff up. That character, by the way, we just saw, that Red Wizard, um, did a great job. I really thought that she portrayed that character very well. That's our sorcerer Simon. Um, he
Now his
is,
deal is he's trying to own up to his family's legacy, and he's struggling with it, and that's what he wrestles with throughout the movie.
yeah, and his family legacy is linked to. If you're a fan of Greyhawk, you'll recognize the name from Greyhawk because I don't think the name was actually in every ever present in Forgotten Realms and the lore that I knew, except for maybe as names of spells. But uh,
This is the scene why you'll think the paladin's lawful stupid, but
yes,
then you'll find out he's not.
and by the way, there were moments in this movie where I laughed out loud and caught myself laughing and had to look around to make sure everybody else was laughing because you don't want to be the only jackass laughing.
Yeah, there was a scene involving the PCs trying to fool NPCs with a spell, and it goes
Oh,
awry, and I enjoyed all the joke, but that's the one that was the way it goes awry and why it goes awry. It just had me busting out laughing.
So
Yeah.
these two actually have very good subdued chemistry. It isn't in your face, but they've got a very nice chemistry. Just that his character is a bit of a, you know, an asshole. Maybe being reformed or reforged, but a bit of an ass.
Well,
This-
I like the fact that they come off more as brother and sisters and friends rather
yes,
than.
then a
I
romantic.
mean, they're definitely friends with a capital F.
Yes. This scene that I think has been in like every trailer where she's the druid. Yes, her favorite shape is the owl bear, which even Rach knew what it was, so that was a beautiful thing. But I don't know 5e enough, but I've heard people go, you can't turn into an owl bear. I don't know. Maybe she's got. Maybe we'll find an upcoming release for 5e that explains how she can do what she can do.
Yeah, they handled it very well. And that thing with the portal that they got going,
Oh,
that
spot
was
on.
that was good. And the thing is, the portal isn't an Uber device. It has a limitation. It only works on line of sight, and it's very cool to see how they tried to overcome that. And this
Yep.
whole thing that you see here, it's about them trying to overcome the fact they can only cast the two enters of the portal with line of sight.
Um. Oh my God. I'm gonna catch up real quick here. Wait, the Paladin was my favorite too. Yeah, Paladin was good. Uh, all right. Two people with C's on the Rings of Power. The Paladin was that he captured the essence of being a Paladin. Yep, and a prima donna one at that. You're right, Nadi. That is it is that to largely to a T. But it was I think done with respect. I think it really the actor seemed to really be enjoying his role. I think it was good. Ron, it was better than expected. It was a solid movie. Agreed. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. Um, uh, well, when I got to the theater, the guy, served me my popcorn and soda, which I had on like reserve, pre-ordered. He saw my phone and said I was there for the D&D movie. He's like, "Oh shit, Dungeons and Dragons! You got to tell me how it is. When you get out of the theater, just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down." And I was thinking give him a thumbs up, but there were like too many people. He never would have seen me anyway. But it was it was worth it. Did they go down the yawning portal? No, they did not go
No.
down the
But
yawning.
they did go down an orifice.
Yes, and the appropriate jokes were made. The big, yes, Naughty, without giving away any secrets or any, the ending was a bit lackluster. Um, but like a lot of movies, there's multiple endings, right? You have the ending, then you have the ending, and then you have the ending, and then you have the mid credit ending.
Yeah,
Yes,
so folks, you gotta remember this is not an epic quest.
no.
This is a heist movie.
It's a heist movie that at the end turns into, oh shit, we have to actually respond for the greater good. And it's great to see. Don't get me wrong. But Rob is right. It is basically a heist movie, which makes sense. On a home
With a
video.
lot of character moments.
Yes. Uh,
I don't
the
know. I didn't think
CGI,
the CGI
CGI
sucked.
wasn't that bad. I've seen
No,
much
the only
worse
thing that looked
CGI.
off is Big V's hand. I mean, it was kind of
The
like a Thay Wizard, what you expect from a Thay Wizard, but it just that definitely looked
Yeah,
okay.
the magical hand wrestling at that point was kind of like, You're right, Solo. Maybe the Druid Owlbear thing is something that takes place in 6e or 1D&D. Yeah, the actors they were enjoying their roles. I don't personally. I thought Hugh Grant was having a great time with his role. He seemed to be enjoying it. Oh, the new UH room would allow you to change to something that looked like an owlbear. Okay. The Arcora bird sucked. Oh yeah, okay. And Rob, I enjoyed it though it suffered from meaningless name drops. The meaningless name drops, folks, were there for the people like you and I. All right,
Yeah.
that was to give us Easter eggs. That's why you know, the hint of, oh look, the D&D cartoon characters are in there. I missed my uni. I did not see uni, but um so yeah, this
I mean,
this
if anything, they had a lot. I mean, they had a lot of flashbacks explaining stuff.
yes. Which listen, will there be a second movie in this? Definitely. I can guarantee you if it does moderately well in the theaters, there will be a follow-up to this. So
I
uh
will say the locales. And now, oh, by the way, guys, that's the orifice. By the way,
yeah, he's gonna drop himself into it.
so it was interesting that the fantasy cities had a very D&D vibe, which is very Ren Fair vibe because D&D pervaded our culture and kind of went alongside. I mean, some of it's more SCA than D&D, uh, but the funny, I chuckled when I saw they were eating turkey leg just like at a Ren Fair.
Yep, I noticed that too, and I was like, son of a. Yes, the Intel Devourers were cool as fuck. You are you are right, and the explanation that was given about them and how to avoid them was another one of those humorous moments that some people did not get in my theater, but those of us that got it, I seemed to really enjoy it. Um, we'll see it when it comes to streaming or on Voodoo. That's fine, Naughty. Listen, it's the first time I've actually sat in a movie theater in 5 years. It wasn't COVID that was keeping me away. I just had no interest in what was being put out. Unscripted and Unchained. One instance of race swapping. Um, as my
Right.
wife Rach put it, this was one of the least one of the movies that we've seen on most of them obviously on streaming that had no message behind it other than having a good time,
Yep.
and that was uh, spot on, and I enjoyed that. There's a lot of other. If I'm paying for the entertainment, please don't give me a message. All right, I don't trust me. I'm too old.
And the thing is, I think they captured the feel of the Forgotten Realm because they always portrayed it. Even the original Gray Box is sort of like a polyglot with
Yep.
all different races, ethnic groups mashed together, and trying to you know have a life in this world of monster and evil bad guys. And yeah, it felt Forgotten Realms to me.
Yeah. No, it did. Zwicky, CGI was mostly well done. Respectable amount of practical effects as well. Yes. Dragonborn looked dumb everywhere I've seen them, and this, yeah, it looked awkward. That was not not the best, but it is what it is. Uh, yeah, I don't play. I'll watch it again when it's on streaming. I'm not gonna go running out to the theater again. I don't even know if I'm ready to run out to the theater to catch something else. Nothing else is really that pressing. This one was one that really interested me, and again, I'm glad it was at least a 4 out of 5. My wife, Rach, loved it. She was like, "This was fun. It was enjoyable. Wasn't too long. It had a nice pace to it. Didn't have really long, monotonous moments. There was either humor or action going on, or both, and that was a good way. You didn't like the red dragon as dumb, okay?
I don't know. It felt. I mean, the way they said the paladin acted like he knew that what the dragon was, and he knew that it was a fat red dragon. Oh, it gotten heavier or something. He said, and I don't
Yeah,
know.
it
It,
was.
it felt like the dragon was a character rather than some beastie. going
Yeah,
out to the party.
that was a really good Easter egg, and I gotta say that. Uh, Disappointed that you say it wasn't bad. All right, well, I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry. Uh, the You know what? I never liked Tieflings prior to this, and I first saw them in Planescape. But the character was well done. Um, it's about I think it's about 2 hours and 10, 2:15. Um, it's you have the endless shit before the previews that started the movie time, and then we had about 10 minutes of previews. I'm gonna say that it was about 2:10, 2:15. Question from Bad Mike: will this movie have any mojo beyond the gaming community? Is Joe and Jane Jones, who don't play D&D, going to be interested? If, but by the way, you got to figure if they like the Amazon Rings of Power, if they happen to like any of the other streaming series that are fantasy based, yeah, I think they will, and I think there's enough story here for it to stand on its own, but it also depends on how well it's marketed. And
I mean, the Speak with Dead sequence was
oh,
easily understood and funny in its own right. Well, I mean,
yeah,
they explained the rules, and the Doric, the tiefling druid, like stood in for the audience and said that seemed all rather arbitrary, and then the payoff was funny as heck, and then the portal thing was easily understood. I mean, I don't know, it wasn't. I mean, I didn't see any sticking point. That's something you had to be a real. I mean, there were moments that you appreciated that was as a D&D fan, but there was nothing crucial to what was going on the screen that an average person who may have seen Lord of the Rings wouldn't understand.
yeah, I think it was pretty well. Uh, yeah, that was supposed to be a halfling, and then I guess Holga just happens to like halflings, from what I can gather from that movie. So it's just an interesting. Uh, I think young teens would love this movie. It's very much like Marvel's in tone. Yes, again, it's that action and sense of humor. In a way, it's superpowers. In a different kind of genre. Will it bring in players to the game? If they want to bring in players to the game, they should be giving out freebies as people are coming in. Everybody gets a free D20 or some shit like that. That's how you bring players in. But the communist trailers put me right off. It looked like a crappy Marvel superhero formula. You know what? The comedy was better than I expected. The comedic points, David. Um, it's. I would say it's up there with some of the better Marvel movies. If you don't like the Marvel movies, you're probably not going to like this.
I will say that the comedy is in world. It's not making fun of of D&D or the genre. It's
No, it isn't. There's no fourth dimension breaking that wall going on. There's no like turn to the camera like Deadpool and say, "Hey, could you believe this shit happening in a real world?" There's none of that stuff.
And even Doric, the closest I've seen it was when Doric commented on the Speak with Dead spell, and even then, it was established that between her and Simon had some interactions before in the movie, and so it made sense that she would say that's arbitrary because she was kind of the group member of the group who kind of questioned,
Yes.
what was going on, because
So
she
now,
definitely had a life and a mission before the movie.
yes. So that these are scenes that are from they're all twisted around is where you're gonna find it in the movie, but that's fine. Uh, she is kick ass. This red wizard and extremely powerful. and it takes teamwork to get her down. That's probably the one of the. I think that's only like this. That might be the only time he actually grabbed a weapon in his hand, and
I
it
think
was,
so.
you know. Let me just go back there for a second. If I can recapture him again, great. It was great in this role. He really was, and man, what a. I think as he put it at one point, you should have known better to ever trust a con man.
Hmm.
They knew what he was when they were working with him early on. So they jump. There's a reason why they jump into that. It was still kind of fairly well done. This fight scene was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Of course, my argument will always be, why didn't they grab his blade after he fell?
Oh, by the way, the guy wielding the green blade, he's definitely 6th level. Remember that scene when they first introduced it? How many guards did he take out? How many 1st level guards he took out?
Okay, you're right.
6.
Uh,
But again, this is probably 5th edition, so maybe my calculations are off.
mhm. Now,
Oh, go back to that where he
yeah.
gets the. So this is cool. They don't just in D&D 5e attuning. It's like this checkbox on your character sheet. Here they fleshed it out and made it more, more role playing wise. So this was cool. And it fit with the character's arc, Simon's arc in the movie.
So Ron wants to know, the writers are going for Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you think they got there? More subdued Guardians of the Galaxy. And I
Uh,
don't, you know,
Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't a heist film per se.
no, it
I mean,
wasn't.
these
I
guys, I
think he's
could see
saying
them doing a heist, but not.
right. I think he's saying for the comedy aspect of it. You know, it wasn't it. Guardians has got a lot more humor going to it. This is a bit more subdued. It has its moments,
It's in the
and when the
ballpark,
moments
though.
hit, they're really solid. If they don't hit, they're okay.
I would say it's in the ballpark.
Yeah.
I mean, these by the middle of the movie, none of these teammates really hate each other. And I mean, there is one inter-team conflict which you guys will see on, but but it got resolved naturally for good reasons in the course of the adventure.
Just catching up in the comments here. Main question is that is this the silver bullet Wizards of the Coast was looking for to get everyone talking about D&D outside the typical gaming circles? Is this going to be a good setup for whatever TV series or on demand series that they have planned? Sure. And especially if they put it in the Forgotten Realms, people are going to feel it's a familiar place. Here now that becomes like the question then. Can the Forgotten Realms itself be marketable? And then can you have multiple I don't know, projects working off that one setting? That's the question. I don't know.
The way they presented it, if they may prevent the Forgotten Realms, the way they did in this movie, it's not so much. The setting is not going to be, Middle Earth. The setting is not going to be, Star Trek. You know, it's going to be like Star Trek it was in the beginning with the original series. Yeah, you had the Federation, but you didn't have a whole lot of detail. But it was a solid enough background. It established what you needed to know about, and what really made Star Trek though with Captain Kirk, McCoy, and Spock and the crew of the Enterprise having their mission, and that's where at the end of the D&D movie, that's what we have. We have Forgotten Realm, There's stuff in it, but nobody gives a shit about it because nobody's
Right.
heard about it before this. But it worked, and they didn't over explain anything. And everything that they explained, the Emerald Enclave and the Harpers, that all made sense. Harpers fight bad guys.
Right.
Emerald Enclave protect the floor. They both hate the Red Wizard of Thay, who really wants to take over the world by turning people into undead.
No, nobody performed a healing surge. Actually, there was no healing going on. Uh, no magical healing, really.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, there's one instance that's healing related, but you'll see that.
right, and it had to do with like an item or a relic. I did find it interesting that the one time that healing was requested, our bard requested our sorcerer do something, which okay. Um, David isn't only the caster of Speak with Dead, the person the dead answers. I know in older editions that's how it is. I don't know how it is in current edition. And movies can take a little liberty. Yeah, nobody really got hurt until the end, which is true. Two questions. One thing that drove me nuts about prior movies: explicit discussion of game mechanics, terrible fourth wall break. None of that shit, really, except for the fact that he kept on fucking up with the tuning.
You know,
Um,
the Speak with Dead spell, it refers to the caster in the first. You grant the semblance of life, and it must answer the questions you pose.
right.
But it doesn't prohibit. It doesn't say explicitly only the caster can ask questions.
Okay. Okay.
So, of course, I know 5e people would say, well, that means only the caster can
Right.
ask question. But us in the OSR, we would say, well,
Let the party. Your party's going to be asking all the questions anyway, randomly. Um. So no real fourth wall breaks.
no.
Sig. There is a mid credit scene. Um. Is it worth sticking around for? It's a chuckle. Um.
Well, I would say their end credits, the first end credit, that was
um,
kind of neat. They used animation based on medieval illustration, and it was kind of fun
okay.
to watch.
Yes. That's
It was quite well done. And then after that comes the end credit scene that I saw.
so. In this scene, Simon, your sorcerer, and now remember, sorcerers are spontaneous. Like what? They don't have to memorize their spells. They just kind of know their spells. Um, that's his ancestor. Okay, that's his ancestor. He's seeing it like in vision, out of time, whatever. And that's one of those Easter eggs thrown in there for those of us that have been gaming for a long time. Uh, yeah, I don't know if it's blow up barn doors, but I think it's going to be do fairly well. It's yes, Keon, it's decent. Um, it may convert some people to check it out. Climbing, the Red Wizards of Thay has developed into a satire of Wizards of the Coast. Saz Tam is a caricature of Chris Perkins. Ah, well, the plot
Well,
is
that's
about
him. It's just mentioned. He's not.
yeah,
It's the lady, the Red Wizard lady that drives. It's the primary antagonist.
yeah. I don't know if it's a magic item that's turning their followers into undead. I'm not sure if it was.
Well, it's a red horn, or it's
Oh,
part of
okay,
the spell at least.
okay. But it wasn't. It was not a MacGuffin, and where anybody had to find it, and it was certainly part of the spell, though.
Oh, that if you guys saw the trailer where Chris Pine, we helped the wrong person steal the wrong thing. That's not in the movie.
No.
That's no, that's not the driver of the movie. What drives the movie is Chris Pine wanting to be reunited with his daughter, then finding out that he and Hoga were screwed by uh, Forge, and them trying to work around it.
Yep. So you're right. That line never really never shows up.
And, I think it's nice. It was incidental that they foiled the plot of the Red Wizard of Thay.
Yep.
Now that's what I didn't mind the other hand that Simon cat, but this one, I don't know. I know what they were going for, but
So this is Simon's hand. It's stone. It were you know that's the owlbear. By
oh,
the
turn
way,
back to the scene.
the owlbear scene.
No, back when they were running in the dungeon.
All right, hold on. Might have to go back a bit further.
Right there. So if you guys were wondering about the gelatinous cube, and if you look at that gelatin, that this scene takes afterwards.
Oh, that's right. That's another. That's like an in movie Easter egg of an in movie piece that happened. Yeah. So, it takes it. This is one of the final scenes, or one of the big battles, and it takes a party, which is nice to see.
Yep, they're
This,
really trying to work their way.
yep, this is uh, the Tom Tullis of dragons, uh, Fat Dragon, and you know what? It might have been a fat dragon. It was still impressive. It's it.
You're right. That dragon did have.
Oh, and it suffered because it was fat, but
Right.
they never played it up for laugh.
No, they
It
didn't.
just, oh, okay, it's gonna have some trouble because it's so damn fat.
Right. Right. But it has to push its way through things. It slides down on all these dead skeletons. Um,
And but the thing is, there was always a sense of danger. This is regardless of how fat and how funny that may sound. This is a red dragon, and it's about to try to eat us.
no, Greg, you cannot. Never mind. Not even gonna read it out loud. Zach, yes. I was surprised. I'm glad you're surprised. That player is cheating if they're leaping while casting spells.
No, no. Remember D&D 5e combat rule. You get your action, your bonus action, and
Oh,
your
there you
move.
go. There you go. The fat dragon is canon. All right.
Okay. I Forgotten Realms has a lot of lore, so I believe it.
All right. Back to the trailer. Now you see how that dragon is just following along and it's gobbling up these peons. Uh this scene, by the way, is a scene I can see playing out in our game group. Just saying. Oops. Just a whole speech about how this bridge is set up with enormous traps and how to avoid it and yada yada yada. And then the sorcerer just puts his foot forward and collapses the bridge. Oopsie. But again, I like the paladin's character. I thought it was really,
I
really.
like them all.
I like them all too, but the paladin. I mean, maybe because my first serious character was a paladin, I was like, wow, that's a nice way to play a paladin. I you know,
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't paint him as lawful stupid.
no, certainly not. Dave, could it be an unused Marvel script? I think you could say that about most successful movies these days. That they're like, and most unsuccessful ones, right? Marvel's had some pretty underwhelming scripts, at least for their on-demand serials. But their movies will you know it was was this an Avengers?
I gotta say though, the only thing they took from Marvel for any of this is the idea that okay, if you're gonna make a genre film, go look at your library of film types and mix that in with the genre
Right.
to produce a better film. In this case, they produce elements of a heist film, and they do a pretty pedestrian job of. If it was just a heist film, it would be a pretty pedestrian heist. But with the D&D added in and the character moments and the few A+ scenes that they have, it really works. It really elevates the film to a 4 out of 5.
Well, they do a very good job in filling you in on the character's history or background or motivations without smacking you right in the head with, hey, let's do a little exposition to explain this. No, it actually comes up organically for the most part, and I thought they did that pretty well. So, yes, the actor playing the paladin was certainly charismatic and played it off very well.
He played the Duke in Bridgerton.
Ah. Yeah, the last trailer gives away, but it gives it away in retrospect. Like once you see the movie, and you go, "Oh, oh." But when I watch trailers, I'm not generally picking them out and trying to cherry pick what's going to happen. So,
Yeah, the voiceover of this trailer and the other ones, they don't give you the context you need.
no,
No, you don't know how these scenes play out. So I was like wondering. Now the I did watch the extended dungeon sequence, but I didn't know where it was going to occur in the movie. And then the Speak with Dead scene, I was expecting that, but then they continued it in in the movie, which made it even funnier. I will say this about the exposition. They do there is a payoff at the end of the movie.
yeah,
So they made you sit through all this exposition at the beginning of the movies, and there's like one or two more times. But at the end, you're about, oh my God, the movie isn't over. You have to sit through another exposition scene, and then it really pays off.
is the Thiefling a Mary Sue who upstages Chris Pine like the producer said, or no?
No.
I don't think
No,
so. I mean, um, you have to remember Chris Pine's character is the party leader, and he's also a non-combatant. Just his nature. So, I mean, he's if you're saying is he upstaged because every other character that the party has does more in combat than Chris Pine generally does. But
yeah,
that's
all the characters. Chris Pine makes plans, and yes, his plans fail often, but he's the guy. But if it wasn't for him, the party would not have succeeded.
yeah. I'm with Zwicky here. I was not expecting much, and if this movie had sucked, I would have been okay with that, with the whole OGL fiasco. But we don't have to hold them to that right now. It was a decent movie, significantly above average, and yeah, and that's important if you're going to go to the theaters these days, right? Like they had a whole before the movie started, you had the whole staff thanking you for being in a fucking theater watching a movie. Like everybody from the movie is there going, oh, "Thank you for actually showing up and being the true hero and watching a movie as it's meant to be in a movie theater," which says a lot about the state of the movie industry and theaters in general. So, Vincent, I saw it early today for the Prime release. It was fantastic. I personally love the film, the story, the character, and the plot. I am excited to see it again and own it on Blu-ray. I
Although I would like to see the Blu-ray edition. That would be cool.
yeah. Catch. I'm trying to catch up on all this chat here. The chitter chatter. Uh, you know what? You're right, Helen. When it comes to when it comes to streaming, we'll probably be pausing and replaying it a lot. You're right. If they were smart, they'd make a show about dwarves, centered on dwarves. That isn't dumb like Hobbit movies. As somebody who happens to love dwarves, yes, I would have liked to have seen more dwarves in this movie. Yes, but it was still a very good, fun movie. Um, The only movie I've ever watched more than once in the theaters is Star Wars and Raiders. Yeah, I don't think I saw anything more than once in the theaters, to tell you the truth. Flint Fireforge. Saw it today at Amazon Prime. It was great. I have an AMC pass. I suspect I will see it a few times. Well, if I had the pass and I could see 3 movies a week, I'd probably go back and see it again. But then I'd be living at the theater, and then that would be a bad thing. Flint, there were no men emasculated in the making of this movie.
No.
That's true. We were looking for that.
Right, just in the background, guys. We were looking for that, but we didn't find any of it. So
The chip was knocked off our shoulder.
yeah, the Mary Sue expectations for the film are overstated. If you want to make a complaint, it isn't about the Mary Sue. It is about the, oh, well, look who happens to fall out of the sky and land on my horse. Or look, that random item that was somebody's walking stick happens to be yada, yada, yada. Does this happen in your campaigns? Quite possibly. I'm just saying that those are the parts where I kind of went, all right, we're pushing it along for the story.
Right.
Fine. But, so that if you have an issue with, you're going to catch instances of this happened because it moves the story along. But Mary Soonis didn't see. Let's see. The Tiefling is actually good, and the Bard has his place. Yeah, he's a leader and a thinker. The discourse about it is nonsense. The movie is fun and pretty well written for what it is. And that is it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got a chance to shine. Every character in that party had a moment. Even Chris Pine, who, like I said, was my least favorite of the characters, but I believe he's meant to be the least favorite.
Even his daughter had a moment to shine.
Yeah. But, he was, I guess his alignment would be somewhere around that neutral good, neutral chaotic, not quite sure. Maybe I'm neutral chaotic and I want to do good, or maybe I'm neutral good and I'm a bit selfish. It's kind of like that kind of an issue going on there. But all the characters grew by the end. Everybody had an insight by the end, and that's actually pretty interesting and pretty good.
Yeah, the only factor, somebody commented about tieflings. The only thing that her being a tiefling was mattered was the fact she was prosecuted where she was born, and that's how she ended up with the Emerald Enclave, and she felt she found a family there.
Right. So you had character motivation going on there. I didn't even notice she had a tail. Go figure that one.
Yeah,
out.
that's right.
I didn't either.
Yeah, Rich didn't notice that one either. So we're all for 2. When we will get an OSR movie? Yeah, Solo. Dream on. Unless we plan doing
That would be a short. That wouldn't be a movie. That would be a short film. They'll die after a half hour.
Yeah, I didn't like how the halflings were done. The perspective change was a little weird. The practical effects were lacking, but they weren't. Halflings weren't a main part of the story anyway.
Yeah, I think if they tried to duplicate the Lord of the Rings halfling, even without the furry feet, there would have been copyright issues.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
These are more like tall fellows, right? They weren't the stout halflings. They weren't the harefoots. These are the tall fellows that we were seeing. Going on here. Great thing about the film, the pacing was perfect and it didn't lull during the film. I was able to tell. Yeah, that was true. It was not, and it was not preachy. So I'll take that for the win.
Yep.
Paramount is a Monty Hall DM, quite possibly.
Maybe. I don't know. They didn't. What did they hand out? A portal stick, that helm, which they lost, and
right. They
got a hold of those nullifier bracelets.
Right. Another item that we're not going to mention because I don't want to ruin anything for anybody, but its use was foreshadowed. So to me at least. Um, the super comment about man emasculation reminds me of the director unprompted saying that Lando in the Han Solo movie was having sex with his robot. You know what? It reminds me a lot of Mr. Brink, I presume, who made a lot of unprompted comments that may or may not have been accurate, but were certainly stupid. Uh, yeah, I know. Some they got to say something, and even if the movie itself, certainly, I don't think it had any message to give or wanted to do anything but have you enjoy yourself for 2 hours plus in the theater. There are people who want everything that you experience to have some kind of a message. So, you know,
Like we mentioned before. I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Uh,
People will always find a way to assume there is one. I didn't see it.
So the characters in the movie have two components. Their role in part of the heist. So you could, if you see an Ocean's 11, if you see a whole bunch of heist film, you will recognize, w- you know, the different characters and why they interactive uh, uh, with each other. And then there is the organic, the reason why, the fact that Chris Pine character had a family and a daughter, and it's a primary driver. So I mean, yeah, there's no message whatsoever. It's all organic to the
Yeah.
either to the genre of a heist movie or to to the film itself.
So again, overall, I would say solid 4 stars.
4 stars.
Some people might come out of it and give it 4.5. I don't think it was a perfect movie, but if you want a perfect D&D movie, this is about as close as you're going to get.
Yeah, it does have some 5 star moments, but it's
Yeah.
overall it's 4 stars.
So, Rob, I think we did a pretty good job, and we didn't give away too many secrets because we.
I think doing the trailer as sort of like a structure for our discussion helped.
Yeah, no, that's what I figured. It's like me and Rob were like, man, we really don't want to give away too much. So, yeah, there we go. Well, Rob, I think we'll wrap this up, folks. In
Yep.
the live stream, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this. Again, um, for Rach and I, with our snacks and everything, it came to like I don't know, $52, $52 well spent. I can't give it anything higher than that. So it was a decent date movie when you're in your 50s. Rachel's laughing in the background. Yeah, in your 50s, it's a decent date movie as your wife is cuddling under her blanket because the room is too cold.
It was.
It was. All right, folks. Thank you much. Next live stream is Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Myself and Bad Mike.
And I
Yeah.
believe we have a random party generated to be
R-
generated on Friday.
RTP on Friday, and Matt has been teasing that he may run another session of Shadow Dark.
Our most popular video yet.
Oh my God, for a live stream, definitely. So, you never know. All right, folks. Thank you.